Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio. Today I'm going to bring you another vintage quilt block. This is called the Magnolia Bud, and this is a pattern from Kansas City Star newspaper. And it's a nice big floral block, so it's a 12-inch block, and I'm going to show you how to piece that together. There are just a few tricks to it. It's not real difficult, but we have some reverse pieces in it. So I'm going to show you how I'm going about making them. Now normally I would have a machine quilting video up today, but I've got an injury to my left shoulder. I've got a torn ligament in my rotator cuff, so I'm going through physical therapy right now. So I'm thinking it's probably best to just concentrate on the physical therapy and not overwork it with the long arm, since I don't have a computerized long arm and I do it all manually. So I'm going to, the next 2 weeks I'm going to stay off the machine and see how that goes. Piecing doesn't seem to bother it. It's moving the long arm that's irritating it. So I'm going to stay away from the long arm for a couple weeks. So in the meantime, I'll just put up more block videos if I can get them done. So this Magnolia block, I'm going to adjust the camera and lay out the pieces and show you what I'm doing with this block. So here are the fabrics that I'm using to make the Magnolia block. These are all Lori Holt's flea market line, except for this piece here, which is just a scrap I had in my stash. The white background is Kona, and this is a Bella solid. So other than these, actually it's just these two are Lori Holt fabrics from her flea market collection. So piece number A is a 6.5 inch square. I have two B's and they are 5 by 8. I have two C's that are 5 by 8, one D which is 2 inches square, actually I have 4 E's that are 5 by 8, 3 F's that are 3.5 inches square. I have one G that is 2.5 inches square, and then one H, and this is 2 by 3.5. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on these pieces here, the petals and the the leaves and the petals here, and that's because these are going to be the trickiest ones to put together. So I'm going to start with the petals. So I'm going to take my B pieces and 2 of my E's, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the rest of my fabrics over to the side. So I'm going to lay them over here on my quilting machine, and what I need to do is to draw a diagonal line from one corner to the other on the wrong side of each of these, but I need to do it in mirror image, because these pieces here are mirrored image from each other, and you can't cut them both out of one piece, because they need to be flipped upside down and not turned. So you can't turn a mirror image piece, it's got to be flipped. So to do that, you just have to draw your lines differently. So I'm going to get my pencil and ruler. So for this piece, I'm going to draw the line this direction, and for this one I'm going to go this direction. And I like to do them both now because I will have forgotten which way I drew it after I get the first piece done. So we're going to do that. Okay, this is a guide. We're going to sew a 1/4 inch on both sides of that line. I'm going to redraw that because I can just barely see that. I want to see it a little bit better. There we go. So I'll lay one aside, and what I'm going to do is to take one of these pieces, and now I need to line this line up from corner to corner here. So it looks a little strange, but this works. And I'm going to go ahead and pin. And let's move this back a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch from both sides of that line. So I'm going to do the same to this piece while I'm at it. So we've got right sides together. And since this one is going this direction, this one needs to go that direction. And these are going to be oversized, and we're going to cut them down because the piece needs to come out 3.5 by 6.5 inches, but we're going to, these are 5 by 8, so there's going to be extra fabric here, and we're also going to need to make a template. But I'm going to go ahead and pin these and then set them aside, get ready to sew those, and I want to show you the template that I made. And I've got it on the back of this ruler. It's just a piece of copy paper or printer paper. And this is the unfinished size that I want. It's 3.5 by 6.5. And then I measured inside each corner by 1/8 of an inch and made a mark, and then drew a line from each one of those marks across. So you could see those lines aren't going right into the corner, they're going 1/8 of an inch up, and do it on the inside of the corners on the short sides. And then find yourself a ruler that this will fit. It can be a square ruler, it can be a rectangular ruler, and then tape it down with some washi tape. I tried glow line tape, but it won't stick for long enough. I have a Invisigrip sheet on the back of this ruler, that might be why, but you just want to line that up in your corner best you can get it, and then tape that down, and then we're going to use that when we get to the trimming part. So I'm going to lift this up and reposition it better because it's not on there exactly the way I want it. So let me adjust that a little bit. Okay, so it should line up pretty well with your 6.5 and 3.5 inch lines there. So that's all there is to the template, but I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew this, and then we'll do some trimming. Okay, so I have 50 weight thread in the needle and the bobbin, and I have my 1/4 inch foot on, and my stitch length is at 2.0. Now we're going to go to, this is what we've got, and we're going to go to the cutting board, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to trim these down. Okay, I'm going to cut these in half. Now each one of these will be the same, so you can save one for another block. So if you're making several of these blocks, one set of these are, each one of these units will make two that will face the same direction. So if you save one from each one, then you'll have some for your next block. Okay, now I need to press them. So I'm going to move my mat, get my iron, and I'm going to press towards the dark. And with this being a bias edge, you just have to be careful with that. So I'm going to kind of roll it back with my fingers first. Make it a little easier. Got that one. And this one, and this will be the same as that one. You can see how those pieces all line up. So these two are the same. And then here's the other piece. Okay, so I think you can see these two are the same and these two are the same, and you need the pieces to be mirror imaged. So like if you flip them over, then they're laying the same direction. So you need one set of these to make a block. So these two I can save for another block. So I'm going to set them aside. Now I need to do the trimming. So I can get my mat, and I've got my template on here. Now on this one I have several angled lines. There's like a 45 degree, a 60, and a 30 degree, so I have to ignore those and concentrate on my pencil line. So if you have the same issue and it's kind of confusing to what line to follow, draw the line on your paper template in a different color, and that will help. So I'm going to do, let me do this one first, and what I need to do, now let me do this one first. I'm going to line the seam with the pencil line. So these measurements are plenty big, so you shouldn't have to worry about getting it all to fit in there. You should have plenty extra. I try to gauge this so there's not an excessive amount of extra, but you do need some to get this trimmed. And this will not be completely on the straight of grain, but it's not going to be too far off. So I've got that side lined up real well, and now I've got that one. So I just need to rotate the mat. Well, then I just knocked it out of place, so let me redo that. If you have a rotating mat, it will help. So I've got that in place. And I'll lift the ruler. And since these two edges here are straight, I'm going to rotate it this direction. And I'm going to go ahead and move that for me. So you can see it makes a really strange shape. And now if you line your piece up with your paper, it should come out that those lines are going to wind up ending right there, so that the seam lines should measure or should line up with your drawn line. So sometimes I have to lift it up to make sure that one's in the right spot, and I can see the tip there. Okay, so there is piece one, and you can see I have a little, it doesn't come to a point there, the points are blunted off on both sides, and that's what you want. So I'm going to do the same with this one. Let me rotate things a little bit. And when you're doing this, just want to make sure that your paper is within your fabric. So if you need to move it up a little bit, you know, go ahead and do that. And what I find is I need to move my washi tape because I can't see that corner very well. So let's move it over there. Okay, so I've got my drawn line lined up with the seam there and with the seam there. Okay. And then line everything up here. Okay, everything looks good. All right. So now I have two mirror image pieces, and they should be 3.5 by 6.5. So I want to double check. Three and a half by 6.5. So yay, it worked. Okay, now we need to do the same thing with the green pieces, with the leaves. So I need the other two E pieces, and I need the C pieces. And then I'm going to do the same thing and draw my lines on the diagonal. I did find a site where I could download a copy of the pattern, but it's all made with templates, and when I measured out with my ruler, they were just strange sizes, so I decided to do it this way and use my own pattern, use my own measurements. So I've redrafted this pattern and trying to do this so that you don't have to use templates for the, you know, to cut out the pieces, other than that rectangular template that I made. And I learned to do that just from watching other quilters do these kinds of triangles right here. So I really don't have any one person to credit for that. It's just over the years, just watching people do it. That's how I learned. So if you're lining it up and you're like this, that's the wrong way. So I have to keep reminding myself to turn it. So if you know who created this method, put put it down in the comments below, because I really don't know who came up with this, but it works. Okay, so now I'm going to sew these just like I did the flower petal pieces. Okay, so now the hard part is done. So now I want to work on the buds on the very tip of the flower, which this part here. So I need D, G, and H. So we have D, G, and H. And I'm going to sew D to E, or D to G, right sides together. And then I'll press towards the red, and then I'll sew this piece onto that. Okay. Now I'm going to press open. I'm going to have this. Now I'm going to sew it to piece H, and I want to make sure it's in this orientation. I want this in my bottom left corner. So I'm going to put that at the bottom and then put piece H on top. And then I'm going to press towards piece H, which is the larger piece. So here is that unit. So now we're ready to lay out the block and we can sew it together. So let me adjust the camera and we'll do that. Okay, we're going to start with, let's do our center piece, which is A. A is going to go right there, and then let's lay out these petals. So we have, yeah, this one goes here, and this one here, and then that, oh, here it is. This unit here, that red piece goes in the center, and then we have our leaves, and this piece is going to go here, this one here, and then we have 3 F pieces, and they're going to go like this. Okay, see the block? Nice, a pretty tulip. So we're just going to sew rows and then sew the rows together. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. Sew these 2 together, these 2, and these 2, and then add these 3 pieces, and then sew the rows together. So here are the 3 rows, and I need to press the seams, and the seams are all kind of wanting to go the same direction. This one wants to go out, so does this one, which is kind of surprises me. And I'm going to press things in towards here and these out. So we will go that direction. So I'm going to press this one out. This one I want to press in. And what I'm doing is, that way I can see here, I do have to match those 2 points there. And that way I can see where the stitching crosses here and there, so I can see it on both sides. So that's my reasoning behind that. And when you lay this back out, just make sure you can have everything back in the right position. You want the white, the background between the bud and the leaves. So, and then you want, of course, you want those petals facing here. But this is the one that it would be real easy to turn it like that. And then, of course, you can see how that is not correct. So we're going to do it this way. And I've got points here to match. So I'm going to put my pin through the point there and through the point here. And then line it up. This point needs to line up with this seam, so if you just nest those seams together and pin them, what you can do is stitch down one side and then the other. So let me show you what I'm talking about on those seams here. Okay, I want to watch this seam here, this point, so I'm going to just start right in front of it. And just watch where it is, and then stitch just a thread or 2 width away from where the stitches cross. And I can check. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm just going to flip it over to the other side and then start stitching where I ended, and I'm just overlapping by a couple of stitches here. Okay, that one's not as good as I'd like it, but it's not bad. I mean, I can just go in there and stitch a little bit closer and fix that. So I will fix that later, and now I need to put these 2 together. Okay, that looks good. So there's the block, and I need to press. So I've got the block sewn. I re-sewed this row because my seams weren't matching up for some reason, which is just really odd. But anyway, I re-sewed that, and I'm just going to go ahead and press these seams flat, and it looks like it wants to be pressed towards the center, so let's do that. And there we go, there's the block. Okay. So here is my block. I have, you know, a mix of fabrics in here. We have these two are Lori Holt. This is a Bella solid. This is Kona solid, and then this is a scrap that don't even remember where it came from. But anyway, this has got you know, a 1930s look, which is appropriate for this block. And I will have the instructions for this in the description box below. I have a link for it that you can click and get them if you want. And maybe you can try this out yourself. Well, that's it for this video on the Magnolia Bud block. I hope you enjoyed it. It was quite an adventure for me. It's one of the blocks I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I found it challenging, but you know, once you get through these pieces here, actually it's pretty easy. Now you may find this pattern in different sizes in other places on the web. I've seen this as at least a partial paper pieced block, and I think these are the pieces that they paper piece. So you can do that too, and make your block accurate. So this one I just hand drafted myself on graph paper right here, and you can see I've got a couple other blocks that I'm wanting to try, but I was just in the mood to kind of stretch myself today and try this block. And hopefully on Friday I will have another block for you, depending on how this week goes. I have a lot of physical therapy, and we'll see how sore I get from that. It's been pretty good so far. I think I had therapy last Friday, and that was the most difficult session that I've had. It was, we've done all of the you know, like the stretching exercises, you know, trying to loosen muscles up, and now we're trying to strengthen. So the strengthening is harder work, and so I was pretty sore from that, and I just couldn't do the quilting machine. I haven't actually been on the quilting machine since I started therapy 3 weeks ago, so I've got 2 more weeks to go, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I feel better. I'm doing better. I can do more with my arm. I was really kind of incapacitated there for a while, so I'm doing much better. Just a matter of time, and hopefully this is going to avoid surgery, which is the goal. So I've had enough surgery. I don't want any more, so we are working towards that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to click that like button. That really helps my channel. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.